Couple of things for tonight. Let me just double check our clicker is working. Okay, what we're going to cover tonight is you're all here for the main event, which is going to be either on the equity side of things or cash flow. We are going to share with you a deal that has literally just rented. When we put this out a couple weeks ago, it was rent appraisals, and literally in a couple of days, rents are secured, tenancies are occupied. This is literally a locked and loaded project that we're really excited to share with you. But before we get to that, I do want to make an introduction to Tatey, and she is bringing so much skill and new strength for our clients. This is basically an overview of what our Accelerate clients are achieving all over the place, all day, every day, across the country. From a method point of view, but now having Tatey's skills to help them win in a very competitive market out there. We're going to share with you, first of all, some observations, things that are helping investors win deals, things that are actually holding you back, and that inaction tax, fantastic word we heard this morning, which we've stolen. So all of that, and then we're going to get to the main event. And then, of course, we will have a Q&A. So if you do have questions, pop them in that box, and we will get to them after the slides and this case study of our client that we want to share with you. So if you're new here and this is your first webinar, I'm Ilse Wolf, Director of Wolf Property Coaching. As we said, have just moved into this office in Takapuna in Auckland. If you're ever up, come into the office and have a coffee with us and have a chat about what you need and just to meet. You know, if you've been following us, we'd love to have you here. That's the whole point of having the space. I've been investing for 20 years, part-time initially, full-time for the last decade or so, basically when I was born. And
It's in the genes.
Obviously. And have been coaching since actually around COVID time, which is incredible, the number of investors that I've managed to work with and now we work with to help people change their lives for themselves and their families or future families. Of my own portfolio, about 20 million, and actively moving into a few different strategies, always value add, because 100% the best lessons and the biggest costs have all pointed me further into this area. So continuing to focus on this area exclusively because I truly believe in it. And for our clients, well over $150 million of end value. That's probably, definitely shy of the actual. Who I really want to introduce you to tonight. This is the first time that we're getting together a couple months ago. Super, super grateful and lucky to have had Tatey Grice join us. She has come from a real estate background, agent background. We've poached her across to help our clients on the buyer's side. I'll let her introduce herself and give you a bit more info. The reason we needed her was that we met through a lot of client deals where she was previously working out West Auckland. And intuitively, her mentality was to really look into due diligence and adding value and enhancing cash flow the way that we want our clients to succeed. And that was a really rare skill that I appreciated in you at the time.
Thank you, Ilse. So yes, basically many, many years experience in real estate in the Auckland market. And it was actually so refreshing meeting Ilse and Wolf Property and seeing what investors are looking to achieve through the cash flow hacking method, because as a real estate agent in Auckland for many years, the whole idea is always been pitched around capital growth and following the market changes and putting all your eggs in that basket. And even as a real estate agent, that's all we know, selling new builds as a good yield. And that's the world you get to know. Whereas meeting Ilse and Wolf Property Coaching, there's just so much outside your comfort zone. And once you get to learn that and really appreciate the method, there's just so much opportunity out there. And so I was really grateful when Ilse came along and said, we're looking to expand. And And the term that also refers to me as is the secret weapon. And that's exactly it. Real estate market is difficult to navigate. And I'm the first as a real estate agent professional in the past to say that real estate agents are not well liked. And there's definitely a bad reputation around them. But I prided myself on being different and standing out. And what I therefore bring to the team is that insight into how real estate agents operate and how to get ahead in the market. And so, yeah, really, really great team to be a part of, and so exciting to see a different way of things working for clients and investors.
For sure. And I think what I can definitely see and observe is our clients. I'm trying to think of an exception, but honestly, very competitive out there on the type of properties that our clients are looking to purchase and maximize. But dare I say it, touch wood. That's not wood. Where's the wood? Every deal in a competitive situation, Tati has helped our clients navigate, misinformation, lack of information, inaccuracy of like disclosures, to the point where they're winning contracts where perhaps they wouldn't have before. Then we run our process of due diligence and we're able to move them forward to success. So. Absolutely. So exciting. This is our first webinar together. And what we do with you is we help you cash flow hack. So if you have joined us before, I'm super, super passionate about shortcutting time, doing things the right way, but also finding a cleverer way to do it that works smarter, not harder. Being impatient, expecting a lot, being in control. What we don't talk about is the slow, expensive path, developments, having to wait for council because they make decisions and we jump how high. That's the slow and expensive path. Townhouses. Do they?
My favorite. Townhouses, what is pitched to buyers as the low maintenance way to add to your property portfolio, get an investment property going. The problem with them is, and it's most of the calls that I do every day currently with investors looking at what to do with their current portfolios, how to expand, and they are stuck with these townhouses that were pitched as a great idea a couple of years ago. However, there is not necessarily any growth in them and the cash flow is not there either. So you're not winning on either side. And it's in terms of the conversations are around how do we move this into a property where we actually are seeing that cash flow. And that's what I alluded to earlier. Everyone was around with the capital growth, but we're not seeing a growth in the townhouses either. So where do we shift the money to that you're actually seeing a positive outcome?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is that the types of investors or property owners could also be your own home, and we definitely have a few of those as well, is either someone who wants to work with us is in like active accumulation phase, so they might have time on their side, but they're not the type of person who is waiting for the market to affect their outcomes. Either they are ready to take action and being super active to acquire and get the best of cash flow and equity through working with us. Or we have definitely a growing number of, parents working with their kids, or also pre-retirement adults who don't have as much time on their side. So hoping for the best and waiting for natural capital growth and having no control over that is not an option. It's more, okay, I have a limited number of years left where I can get good servicing with the bank, and I want to make the most of it. So that's moving more towards option on the right, which is cash flow hacking. So we'll talk you through what that means. We want to be in control, time efficient, as predictable as taking on an investment risk like this is. We're looking at a before and after outcome where we can involve our power teams, which we'll talk about a bit more.
Yep.
People on ground, who are property managers, our builders, plumbers, etc., who can help you have a vision and calculate an end outcome by improving an existing build the way that we do. Yep. So on the left, a really basic, but one of the common existing build floor plans from the 50s, 60s, 70s that we see is, if you buy 3 bedrooms and you get rent from a cosmetic reno, you might spend $70,000 on a cosmetic reno to make it like the best 3-bedroom house for rent in that suburb. There's still a ceiling on what you can charge for that before you ask too much, they're going to migrate up to a superior location, and you won't get that tenant. what we want to help you achieve is find the right property that you can reconfigure. It might be a 2 to a 3, 3 to a 4, 3 to a 5. In
Within the
some
existing floor plan.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not needing council consent, completing that reno in a way that is appropriate to the location and also to who the most likely tenant is going to be.
Yeah.
And we need to take all the intel from the Palatine who are on ground, who know that property more than you do. It's probably good to point out that most of our investors are remotely purchasing, right?
Yeah.
So do you find you're talking to many of our clients who are buying where they are?
Absolutely. I think there's been, since I've joined, maybe two clients who were geolocking themselves. And since joining on our Reno Roadies that we do, they went, oh, there's a whole world outside of what we know and what I refer to as the comfort zone earlier. It's the market that you're familiar with, you're watching, you're living in it.
I'm going to buy in my neighborhood and drive by and check out what's going on.
Exactly. Whereas there's so much more out there. And I can say it so much as being an agent the past couple of years in Auckland, buy an investment property that 4 to 5% yield. That's all you know if you're looking only within your market. Whereas now going outside of that, we know what we have our clients achieve is far beyond that. So it's just pushing out of your comfort zone.
And in a way where you can do that with confidence because you have the team who give you that confidence to do it, right?
Yep.
So the poll, before we segue into the movie, so, everyone that we work with is either looking for to build more equity and improve their balance sheet effectively, or is looking to improve their servicing and their cash flow. I'm just going to jump over here to our poll. Okay, cool. So I'm going to launch this. What is it that you need? Smooth.
I love it.
From your next real estate property acquisition, whether it's your owner occupied, whether it's an investment property, are you after more equity or further cash flow? Very difficult, to balance that as you grow. Investors or buyers that we work with are very ambitious, which we love. And it's always a balance of the two as you grow. And you probably already know which is stronger and which one needs more attention. And this example we're going to go through has both. Something for you to consciously think about. Oh, this is interesting.
Cash flow.
2/3. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. So, oh wow, 70% of you focusing on cash flow, aka servicing, when you're talking with your broker, equity creation, looking for that leverage, that usable equity, a third. I find that kind of surprising because I feel as though we've had more conversations about that lately than before.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's more, I suppose, it's education that we're putting out there as well. And maybe from the calls I've had, people are definitely doing a bit more research into where to gather the best results. But like we like to say here, you can't eat bricks. Cash flow doesn't pay, or capital gains doesn't pay the bill.
For contact.
Yeah, well, exactly. You need the cash flow. So that is, it's very, very important. And it's actually great to see that result on the poll because I think more people are starting to realize that you can't completely rely on market changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And think about that consciously. That's really good for us to see. So, okay, over 2/3 looking for cash flow. For sure, we're also in this cost of living, whole bunch of international things going on, which we can't control, but even locally, it's an election year. Let's put the E word out there. There are a whole bunch of things that you're juggling or thinking about might impact your investment. So all good things to think about. Teddy, I'm going to get you to talk a bit more about things that we're observing.
Yes.
We recently had our den session, so we have these regular sessions with our community to talk about observations, things that are not working for our clients, for things that are working really well for our clients to help them win deals. What are some of the patterns that we're seeing?
I can definitely speak on that because it's interesting. It's we'll see it plenty across real estate as well, and I'm sure all real estate agents could talk about it endlessly, as well as what we're seeing here. And it really comes down to the first one and most important one is when people are over scrutinizing that 10K difference in price, and whether it's 5, 10, 15, whatever it might be, let's say 10K. And when you really work that out, it's coming down to, let's say, the price of a matcha rather than the price of a
With
coffee.
oat, not dairy.
Yeah. Much with the oat milk. That's what it's costing you per week to really over scrutinize this deal and lose out on it because there is a lot of competition, and we'll get to that at a later stage. But there's so much competition out there at the moment for these kinds of properties, and people are losing out on deals. Just today, I had that call I mentioned to you earlier where someone was looking at finding out about our method because he had presented between 10 and 15 offers within the last 2 weeks and was losing out. And I said to him, why do you think that's happening? And he said, well, price. And that's exactly it. It's overthinking that and losing the deals over 10K. And I think relying too much on those online estimates. And it's so common for buyers to do that, vendors as well,
Yeah.
actually looking at CVs, looking at the one roof estimates, those different online estimates. Everyone has to realize that those are estimates. CV is not a true reflection of market price
It's
at
like
all.
an algorithm, even from
Exactly.
start to finish. Our client might improve, cash flow hacker property. It's not 3 bedroom, it's 4 bedroom. It's worth so much more. You've massively improved the condition of it. The algorithm
Exactly.
doesn't know,
Yep.
that data stays the same. So that's, it's literally an algorithm.
Correct.
To not get hung up on that. There are other things you can do to really firm up a value of a before and after as part of DD, which we'll show you in a second.
Absolutely.
But to not let a single algorithm dictate whether you're successful or not on
100%.
a deal. That means you either have that asset and can add value and cash flow for yourself now versus the extra time that you'll delay yourself for that cost of we should say like an oat latte, oat matcha.
Yes.
So
Yes.
effectively, if $10,000 you lose out to someone who wants to pay 10,000 more, that's basically the cost of the interest on 10K over a year is the cost of one takeout coffee per week. Is
Yeah.
it worth losing months for that?
Yeah.
Especially when the type of deal that you're going to close on, if like ours today, is going to cash flow and the rent is paying for that oat latte. Why should you miss out on that deal?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the only other thing with that is, and why people might be second guessing is, what you mentioned earlier, everything going on in the world and also what the media is telling us. And I think it was a week or two ago, I saw an article on social media that was investors aren't buying right now. And I thought, oh, that's weird because then we'd be out of business. So
It's and also just kind of leading with that because I feel like we all know to not listen to the media, but still we listen to
it's
the media.
100%. People are
Yeah.
still doing it. And I understand, there's hesitation, people are nervous, but honestly, there's still so much competition if you're in it every day like we are. And we see that level of competition, all the investors that are active at the moment, so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it's one thing, there's that really famous quote of be greedy when people are fearful, be fearful when people are greedy. And everyone knows that quote, Warren Buffett quote, but 99% of people say it but still don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with that, in terms of like the actual conditions, there is no perfect time. We'll talk about the inaction tax, which we plagiarized from someone we were chatting with today. But it's at the moment, prices for a property is cheaper than it has been since the peaks of 2021,
Yep.
22, and interest rates for the moment are lower than they could be. And if you look at the projections of how things might change, right now, with the uncertainty, pre-election, the cost of living, you can buy a property for a great price, or in this case, a double income property for a crazy great price. You're locking in that debt at a low rate compared to if things were more certain,
Yep.
tidier for you, the same house you're going to spend more on 9, 11, or so months from now. So you're actually able to buy a property for a fantastic price. And you might say, oh, rents are low, but because rents are lower than they've been, that's also why the price is great. Rents can recover, but at least you've locked in that low debt. It's like the conditions are prime.
Absolutely.
There's never going to be a perfect time. This example is fantastic. And I think rather than say, oh, this is a really tidy case study and our client kind of came in week one and bought that, we would rather explain that actually there were several deals that he decided not to move ahead with, and the lessons that compounded from those closed those opportunities he decided to pull out of actually led to this one. I love how she already put cosmetically challenged. So
So
democratic. Thank you.
exactly.
I love the description. It's kind of the opportunity that the properties that people ignored before because they thought they look too messy or they're not tidy enough, or maybe because you don't have that experience. Your lender or your broker might not necessarily think it's the right property for you. You could be losing that opportunity for someone else's opinion, or because you're not guided by a team who can actually run the numbers, calculate an end outcome for you. But when you are prepared, you are in that like 0.1% of buyers who can.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, so our client and the project that we're going to talk through tonight, rather than wait for certainty, he took the lessons from some of those earlier deals. Could have shared some of the visuals of the other couple of projects that he was on contract for. Um, some I think when we meet with investors, sometimes they're quite focused on a type of property or a specific location.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about with this client. They started in Dunedin, put a couple of offers where they live in Hawke's Bay, and ultimately here they've bought in Palmerston North and could have, closed any of those deals if the numbers were right for them because the power teams were there to help them go through with it. But this is a really good example of I think we're 95% of clients who can buy outside of where they live and work with the knowledge that they've gained to move ahead.
Yeah.
So there was no perfect market, but they went with the process and what they learned. Do you want to talk through it all, kind of the process and
Yeah.
any insights you're finding with investors you're talking with?
100%. So obviously tonight we're going to elaborate on the due diligence process in terms of this case study. Before that, and what we offer is obviously going through those deal parameters with investors, encouraging them to look outside of area, expand their opportunity, and review deals and ensuring that it stacks up to our minimum requirements. So as mentioned earlier, everyone's got an idea based on perhaps their local area of maybe a 4 to 5% yield is acceptable and doable and, that's achievable. And what we're showing them is what you can actually be achieving if you open up to the rest of New Zealand. So we are reviewing these deals and making sure that our clients are getting the best possible outcome. And that comes through the due diligence period, which we'll talk about now with this case study. And that's why our client went through a few deals before finding the one that fit. And it's normal and it's okay for things to come up during due diligence because we want to make sure that that is stacking up in the end. And it's all about having the coaches and the power teams. An agent is not going to help you navigate that due diligence. They're there to get the deal done for the vendor, whereas we are looking for the best possible outcome for our clients in terms of investment and that yield. And
I think like we have this umbrella view, each of our clients we work with directly. So and I always think about this, like to self-check. They see themselves working with us and they're definitely dependent upon us going, okay, is this at least as good as what other clients are going ahead with in this market for the same type of property?
Yes.
And we are that person that sense checks like, actually, we can do better because this deal went through, and it was definitely stronger. You can look to replicate something a little bit better and have that umbrella view, which is, we don't take that lightly. So I guess coming through into that specific property example, this one is so fun and exciting, actually. If we kind of step back and Taty, you just started. We were on our Reno roadie. We were in Palmerston North. It was like week 2 or 3.
love Palmerston North.
Taty gets there, has not been there before, and she's like, the streets are so wide. What do you mean this house starts with a 6? This is so much.
So affordable. So much better than Auckland.
Literally like word for word. I feel sorry for Aucklanders buying in Auckland.
Oh, yeah. It is sad. It is.
And which was just so good to go, okay, cool. We jumped off the bus. This was the first property, the first reno we walked onto, and it was also the first time our investor had seen this property, obviously knew the project through and through because he worked with the power teams who came to present to the busload of us that kind of jumped off. 70 of us or so, like standing on the front yard of this property. Cool. Got some questions. Pop them in the Q&A. We'll definitely come to you with your question after this as well. So thank you. Please pop it there. Definitely want to answer your questions. This is the one that this is a really good example of showing kind of where to be greedy when people are fearful, basically, because on face value, probably not too mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say so.
And I think you see a couple of photos like this, you think, okay, there are no windows, there's no glazing. In fact, it's, this is actually one of the ex-government rentals being sold. God forbid any private investor presented a property this way. This is not at all how we do things.
Look at it and you imagine a knockdown, right?
Yeah.
That's what
which
the
is a
average
good
person would
point.
see.
You don't want to overpay for something like this, but if you can calculate the upside from a value or cash flow point of view, so much here. An investor or first time investor who has not looked or embarked upon something like this, their broker or lender may not have the confidence if they don't have the system or the people behind that can give them the confidence there's a good outcome. And often with the lending, the lenders are going to look at it pre-reno. So if they think, oh, they're going to settle the property and not actually do what they tell us, we have the security that is not healthy home certified. Just to give you a little bit more insight, not lined, there's no insulation. It's definitely not healthy home qualified at all. So even on the before numbers here, I think we've been pretty generous because, I mean, who's going to live here? And no property manager can actually legally rent this out. But for the purpose of modeling, in a second, I'll show you some figures, just kind of being generous. But when you look at those photos, it's very marginal because there were no hot water cylinders, there was no wiring. The reason it was boarded up is because it had been left vacant to list for sale. So it's quite scary when you see photos like that. That's not a typical first-time project. And, this is one of the biggest investments for your future that you make. So it's not something to joke about or talk lightly about. There's high stakes, right? So you could say it is easier, tidier to look at a townhouse or something and just go, look, I see how it looks, I see how it will rent, less risk, what have you. And so the returns are going to be relative to that.
Correct, exactly. But in those newer builds, you're not seeing the value uplift. And as you and I were chatting about before we jumped on here, is more and more of these properties, because they are in demand, as these properties are renovated, all those areas will start seeing an uplift in value over time. Whereas the areas that are being jam-packed with the new builds might not be seeing that in a couple of years, as there's an oversupply of the new builds. They're cheap, they're affordable, people are getting into them, perhaps not maintaining them as well. That could cause a kind of decrease in value in areas over time. Whereas where we're seeing the older properties that are purchased by investors, whether it be through property flipping or long-term investors, the point is the value is being added to it, and we're seeing an uplift in value in the areas over time as more of them happen and take place.
Totally. And there's like a formal process that we'll talk through, like for this investor, get the facts, get the info, and then make an offer based on that. And also, I guess what I've observed for all these years and validation from all the projects I've personally done, plus my clients, is every time we come up with a unique rental property, it's not a commodity. If you have something that is copy paste in 5 or 12 or 20 in terms of value and rent, your value and rent are dictated by the owners next door to you, and you don't have any control over their circumstance. So I genuinely have seen that when we can say, here's a rental, okay, it's challenging in the rental market. What can we do to improve it to get high cash flow? Or what can I do to improve the value? That property as an existing build that you renovate is truly unique. So you're in control more so than if you had something that is copy paste like some other neighbors and you're less in control.
Correct. Right.
So the opportunity that our client saw was everything is a calculation, and there are always challenges with due diligence. It's
Mm.
more there's a cost, there's a price, and a timeline.
Yep.
Is that something we can manage? Does that sit on top of the price? If so, awesome, move to the next step.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you've been quite deep in some due diligence on very specific things today.
100%, yes. We're looking into, I said to Ilse earlier, I've never said the word borer so much. I never thought I would say the word borer so much in one day. Looking into this. So there are things that come up during due diligence, and we've had all sorts, firewalls that weren't actually permitted or completely missing where they actually were rented as two separate flats. We've had the borer, we've had fire damage that might not have been signed off and agents not disclosing it
Yeah.
correctly. There's been all kinds of things that come up in due diligence, and it's all manageable if it fits within the numbers and we still get the output that we're looking for. That is what your due diligence period is for.
Yeah.
So
Spend $120 on a report versus go ahead with a property that could collapse.
yeah, or walk away from it, and it actually could have been easily manageable within the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So these are the things that we see. This is like not obviously on the listing, but when you look beneath the photos, behind the words that you get from the agent, these are the things we're looking for that deeper value add. Also, from a positive point of view, there was a brand new roof. Cool. Don't need to spend on that. There were a lot of things we needed to spend on, but good bones, amazing hardwood, native timber, better than any man-made kind of material these days. Teddy laughed, but unsexy makes money. The boring stuff is what makes money. All the good things at work have been proven and copy-pasted to go over and over and over.
Everyone loves a good fixer-upper. We all like problems to work on.
So this is a government rental sell off. Our clients buy all sorts of properties depending on their goals, and we support them through from this method standpoint. But in this case, you may have been looking for this type of property, super competitive, quite a few like this on the market coming through in different parts of the country. Multi-offers, no one loves them, kind of like an auction. You're in this position where you have one of two strategies. Feels super clear from our point of view because we see where our clients win and we go straight for the target. If you want to be safe and go a conditional offer at deadline, how do you make that look attractive? Well, you probably need to go higher on price to counter some of the conditions that are less appealing. Obviously, there's risk in going cash unconditional. Shocker, we're going with a cash unconditional offer here. So this is where we're going. But what are you seeing? And also from your previous experience, any comments on the two?
Absolutely. Yes, 100%. And it's something that you see so often. There's, we don't like auction. We don't want to go to auction. We'd prefer if it was deadline, any of the other methods, which makes sense. Then you don't need to invest upfront in all the due diligence numbers. But it does mean that you're essentially in a blind auction with a multi-offer. It's not all open in the room. You're kind of hoping that what you put in is good enough, or am I overspending? What's great with this is we have done so much work in terms of running those numbers on our ROI calculators. We know where it needs to be that it still stacks up.
Yeah.
So there is no overpaying. We wouldn't overpay because then it wouldn't stack up in terms of the returns. So we can run those numbers, but it's a matter of as well, if you're going in with conditional interest, and this is, again, we see it so much across the real estate industry, you have to somehow balance out the fact that you're going in with a lot of conditions with typically a higher price than you would otherwise pay for unconditional, because the risk is then sitting with the vendor to be locked into a contract that's conditional, especially if you're checking all the kinds of things that we do.
Yeah.
It might pay off to come in at that higher price to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And and in terms of like with this client, he'd chosen to pull out of a couple of previous contracts, and so super motivated to be really competitive here. And in order to be cash unconditional, definitely do not do that without the advice of your financial advisor and legal team. But if you want to pursue that kind of strategy, Below is a basic summary of some of the aspects. We have a whole bunch of tools in the toolkit. There are a few extra things thrown at this that have worked so well. And if you're talking about, if you want to secure a certain amount of usable equity or uplift, a registered valuation is truly the way to go. As part of due diligence, it could be $700, could be $1,000, rather than guess or rely on CVs. It's one of the best reports you can invest in, to understand purchase price plus reno budget. Once the power team goes to site, what is the post renovation value formally based on that scope? Therefore, you know what your net equity is going to look like. So our process is very methodical. We have the power teams go to site first. Our clients know precisely what the plan is. They'll flag anything, if it's a red flag or an orange flag or a green flag. That's all before we get sort of say, look, get the next layer of reports going in. One thing that you might notice, just have a little scan through these figures. So the offer that our client put in was $300,000. Now, just to clarify, the property itself is two bedrooms. So two dwellings on a single title, a 2-bedroom and a 2-bedroom. So they decided to go and wanted to pursue a cash unconditional offer for the deadline, and to be really, give them the best shot of being successful, decided to go with that strategy, pursued a registered valuation, not only for the as is, so the current value, but also based upon what we knew, or they knew that they were going to renovate and how much that would cost, provide that to the valuer and get a second value, which is called the as if complete. So before we go to the end, to the results, the registered valuation for the current condition came in at $270,000. So you might be thinking, why the heck would someone pay more than on market? Not typically the way to go if you're looking to create wealth or cash flow. But because we had that second value, which you'll see in a minute, they actually decided to pay more than this. And also they could calculate exactly what they were going to make, which is ultimately that 170K of equity. At the purchase price, and assuming it could be rented, remember those beautiful photos that you saw, would be topping it up. And even when I look at this, I'm like, that's actually not a crazy top up, but our clients just don't do top ups at the moment. So that's just not good enough. And you're about to see some of the visuals. The team that we had run through this is where we have the build team and the rental management team all under the same hood. And it's really interesting because ultimately the property management team wants to get that tenanted, wants to get you that cash flow. No one wants holding costs and vacancy. And through that motivation, the renovation across both of these 2 bedrooms was, when we were there, we were like day 4 or 5. So in week 1, in 4 weeks from what you saw. Gotta go to the numbers first.
Let's get into the numbers.
Across this duplex. So this is definitely on the higher side. These numbers are not typical of a cosmetic reno, but as you could see from those before photos, there was a lot to be done.
It was in bad shape.
Yeah. This is also the first property you walked through on a roadie.
It was. And it is overwhelming to look at, and I can see why most people would turn around and walk the other way. But that is the difference between, seeing what things could be, seeing the potential, and seeing what it is there. It's moving your mind to what could be.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Sometimes we have clients who are builders and they'll say, oh, I'm going to down tools. I'm going to jump onto the project. I'll get my materials at wholesale, yada, yada, yada. Cool. I've had one builder who's actually done that in reality versus actually, this is what I do for my family 9 to 5. This is my best hourly. I'm actually going to go with the power teams. And that means that I can still continue what I do really well. And do this in parallel, and it actually duplicates or doubles their productivity. So you're leveraging us, you're leveraging the teams, and you're leveraging your investments to actually accelerate the progress that you want to make with your family. So because this is like, as you could see, a top to bottom, very thorough reno, this is across the two. This is in total, so 180K across that. 4 weeks from what you saw before, this is so 2 times 2 bedroom rentals, appraisal of $520 per week. We literally launched this saying, hey, we're going to run this webinar. And these were appraisals. And then within a few days, both of them were fully occupied. So like tenanted at $520 per week, 1,040 of cash flow from a total debt of roughly $500,000. So $480,000, purchase price of $300K. Now you see why they put 30,000 of their own cash flow in. Above
Numbers
that
were still stacking
registered.
up.
Yeah. And this was actually a client who works for a bank. So not through a broker. They organize the finance through their bank, through their employer. And their perspective was that they could see by putting 30K more than the valuation, this was still a mega deal. So even from their purchase price with the as of complete valuation of 650, there's 170K that they made while they were at work on the East Coast. And the team were hustling in Palmy.
It's what I like to call dollar productive time.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, we're not out on the WAPs. We're in a regional centre. Palmerston North is actually a really premium market. What I would say is that we help our clients also buy standalone properties, which in most regional centres might be there or thereabouts, 400K. We have never achieved that in Palmerston North because there's actually much more of a premium on that market. This type of property, however, works really, really well. So what could have been a top up there after what you saw was invested, this is more than 1,000 cash after all expenses. So property management, assumed vacancy, maintenance, the actual renovation.
Yep.
Straight away in year one. He is making, $250 a week plus $1,000 a month. So that is often where we see the solution. Our investors will have cash flow from their first project. It's offsetting a townhouse.
And I love seeing that because so many of these calls that I do for us every day is I'm only topping up our property $30 a week. And it's interesting where that only word comes in, is only $30 a week. Well, that's $30 a week. You're still topping up rather it paying you. So it's that mindset around, we're not topping it up by much. The point is you're still topping it up rather than it paying you back as per.
Yeah. I think the expectation to be paid by an investment property has not been there for so long, and top ups 2 years ago were so much more intense than that. So it's great that it's all come down, and investors can be in a better position to prepare for the next thing. And I think to challenge yourself on actually don't accept the status quo.
Yes,
if you
absolutely.
actually just decide the next investment I have will cash flow.
Yep.
3 benefits from real estate is, to create value. So we're forcing the appreciation over 4 or 5 weeks, 4 weeks in this case, rather than sit and see if the market gives us money over time. Number 2, forcing cash flow that's literally in our pockets, and we've got all our templates to make sure our investors know exactly what's coming if they decide to go unconditional. And number 3 is leverage, but you have the leverage because you're forcing these results super quickly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What made this work?
No prep.
Power teams. I've always said that as long as I've been in real estate as well, it's you are as strong as your power team. And then I was talking about your building inspector, your broker, your lawyer, the agent that you use. The experience that you have and the results that you end up achieving is definitely reliant on that team, that you have a lawyer that's going to help you navigate but not kill the deal. The same with the broker. Broker can jump through loopholes. A building inspector that doesn't doom and gloom the entire thing, but looks for cost-effective ways to rectify the issues. It's the power team, and it's the same that applies to us here. Is that team that you have to on the ground to help you navigate the entire process.
For sure. And it's interesting. I think if you are sitting there and thought, I've had building inspections before. If you invest in a new build, it's going to be like green lights all over the place.
You say that.
No.
But as a real estate agent, a lot of building inspectors said to me, look, we find more issues in new builds than we do in older properties. So Very surprising. I will never forget
I've
that.
never had one, so I have no clue.
So lots of people go to new build, they don't need to do a building inspection. Might
Oh,
want to do a building
wow.
inspection. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
And
Yep.
everything is contextual, right? So I know, and I constantly need to let, especially if I know a client has owned new builds only,
Hmm.
it's don't expect this to be this perfect like green traffic light. What is appropriate for the age and how you can see as the condition of that property. Again, it comes back down to a cost and time equation. If that
Hmm.
works on top of the deal that you have, awesome. If not, step two, renegotiate based on what you've found in DD. Step
Absolutely.
three, if the vendor doesn't actually understand that this is the reality, you walk away. But
Yep.
you have the information, you can create a plan as a result.
Hmm. Hmm.
Cool. Final
Oh.
poll. Do you want a deal that improves your equity and passive cash flow? No. So, polls, we're going to see.
Let's go.
You're all here shortly because you want to progress.
I would imagine that it's all a yes. Unless someone's dialing in from their private yacht somewhere and just filling some time.
We have clients on your And that's the thing. It's sort of looking to progress is exactly who we work with. We're working on ourselves. As I put in the earlier slide, I'm still building. There's no like finite outcome. It's kind of okay, looking for the balance of do I need equity next or I need cash flow?
Mm.
Yeah. We want to improve, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay.
Good
Cool.
answer, team.
Yeah, good
Everyone's
answer.
passed.
Thanks for listening in. Yeah. So, with our client who bought that project, which is now fully tenanted, amazing, 4 weeks from start to
Mm.
finish, that is what is replicable. Actually, we have many clients who have just gone unconditional or settling
Yes.
last week, this week,
Yeah. Yep.
similar standalone double income type properties.
Hmm.
Um, we're trying to find the balance of like where your budget with your financial advisor fits for you,
Hmm.
and then we can deploy the team to help you get the best of all of that.
Yep.
And it's about taking action, not sitting and hoping or waiting for perfect conditions, but working with what you have to
Mm.
get results and move ahead.
Yep.
He's going to be straight on to the next project for sure.
Mm.
So what's with our programs, what's included is directly working on an individual plan with Tati and myself. There are, obviously the methods that we roll out. It's very systematic, very predictable, streamlined, but where and what you buy is definitely a conversation between yourselves and us and your financial advisor to make sure it's helping you move to the next step,
Mm.
not looking at like the current transaction and what's just going to be like a
Yeah.
closed kind
Because I
of
think we've
thing.
discussed an overall, but it's not necessarily a one size fits all. It depends
Yeah.
on individual clients and what they're trying to achieve, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And so from kind of analyses to that fit with your lending and working out kind of the size or the scale of what is going to be suitable for you, don't
Mm.
expect everyone to think that looking at that property is the right thing for them. That might not be the right thing, but we'll work it in with you. The power teams, there's not a corner of the country we can't go to,
Mm.
basically. But we're going to help you have this umbrella view of, the deal you're looking at, is that as good as what we know you can achieve based on what other clients are achieving or not, or should we
Same.
challenge harder? Ultimately, you make the call, but we help you understand. We help you understand. So with the coaching, we have these reno roadies, so renovation road
Mm.
tours. We have one probably coming up in the next 4 or 5 weeks where we see a whole bunch of different interesting client renovations forming, standalone, couple of income, multi-units for boardroom as well. We invite our community, try and give a few weeks or a month notice. So, such a vibe. I'm
Mm.
wondering whether the renos are the key thing or if the social part afterwards becomes the main.
I think it's everyone just being around like-minded people. It was so refreshing for me as well to come from a real estate background and then into dealing with specifically investors who are just, gosh, you're all so smart, honestly.
Expecting lots.
100%. It's just so good to see everyone being so, yeah, just motivated to look at
Yeah.
what they can do and how can I make my money work better for me and how can I learn. And
Yeah.
even for the clients who aren't necessarily hands on and they're more letting us run point, they're wanting to see those good results. They know that
Mm-hmm.
there's good options out there. It's
Mm-hmm.
impressive. It's really impressive.
Yeah, for sure. And the cool thing I think after the last one is going to lots of clients get together
Mm.
next week. It's like, oh, so like my wife is her hair's getting done by so
Oh,
like
yes,
you know
that was
our
nice.
other client like, oh, this is so cool. Best. Like
Yeah.
they create their own little groups within the community.
Mm.
We have this education portal and we have a bespoke tool that should have launched a year ago and we've been developing that is literally as well as working with us directly this tool that will step you literally through every single question because we've heard the patterns of questions. We know how to help you next. There's a wealth of information. Our power teams, what's a LIM 101, what's a sale and purchase
Mm.
agreement 101, lending strategy, insurance for our type of strategy. It's all there. And then, you know, for us, we don't rest until you get that deal, basically, because your success is definitely ours.
Hmm.
We don't take that lightly. So if you're looking to achieve cash flow or equity, this is, everyone has their own take on it, but effectively, we're here to hustle for you and we don't rest until you get what you need.
Absolutely.
Solve the bore issue.
I'm on it.
This is on our website. We are super transparent. We're always here to provide education, give examples, show you what is possible. You might be doing this with us. You might be out there grabbing it by the horns and doing it yourselves.
Mm.
Whatever works for you, awesome. If you want to know usable equity or what is required to help for us to help you achieve a similar result,
Hmm.
jump on our website there. All the information is there. What we'd say is you can scan this QR code, go straight to booking in a 15-minute call with us. We'll talk through what is going to work for you, understand your goals, your objectives. We'll work in with you and your advisor to see how we can adapt your version of this to help you with your next deal, whether it's you're looking to increase your equity or cash
Hmm.
flow. This is a great example of what can be achieved all around the country right now for you.
Mm. Yeah, and whether that's the first deal or the second, third, fourth. Today I had a call with someone who said, I've been doing this for ages and he's basically following the method, but just wanted to know if there was anything else he wasn't yet aware of and if there was any more knowledge out there for him to, take on board and change anything he might be doing, which great. It's always something left to learn.
Definitely,
Mm.
definitely. Perfect. All right. So let us just check. Have we got questions in the box? Hang on, go Q&A. I can see some questions here. Okay.
Amazing.
So, let's just see. Don't mind me leaning in. Someone came to me in Cambridge a year or so ago. Thank you for coming to say hi. Definitely love a face to face. The webinars, these are really, really fun, but it's definitely like we're kind of talking to a camera, and this is
Mm.
great. Put your questions here. If you want to meet with us or see us at an event, love to get in around the country and come and chat. So
Mm.
do let us know. Send us an email or DM us. Cool. I've followed a couple of emails, good deals, great sound advice for investors. I hope it's been really helpful for you out there. If there's anything else you want answered, you can also use that QR code. By the way, we'll send through an email tomorrow if you want to have a chat with us and you can book in. So anything that comes to mind, often we throw a lot of info at you. If you
Hmm.
find afterwards there's something that you want answered, then you can definitely book in so we can help you plug those gaps. Um, I don't really have the time. Can you do it for me? Really good
Cool.
question.
Yeah.
So we have two lots of clients. Do you want to talk through those two?
Yeah, of course. So I think I touched on it earlier, but that hands-on versus hands-free approach, and that's 100% correct. Clients who want to see the results, know what's available out there, but don't necessarily have the time, whether that's out of country, time poor, want to prioritize time with family or very busy jobs, there is a hands-free option. And essentially that means we're running the really crucial decision making past you, but otherwise we are doing all the analysis, liaising, setting up appointments, double checking on all those numbers, and walking through and essentially project managing every step of the way to make sure you get the same outcome. You will probably just not be investing as much time as the online learnings. You still have full access to it. You just may not put as much time into it, and there's not as much time project managing around that. So you're getting the same results, but with us running point on it. Absolutely.
Basically, like fully leveraging us as well as the people on ground with the power teams with the property. Someone has asked, can you explain the power team? Sorry, I might have jumped ahead. Power teams is our, I guess, our name for wherever you live is likely separate to where you're living. Most of our clients are purchasing and remotely purchasing. You could be overseas, or you could be in Auckland and investing in Dunedin. It doesn't matter. The people who are on ground are the power team. So they're the ones providing the facts, the rent appraisals, the costs, the estimates, the scope. If you need a drafts person because we found something that's not consented, it's a small fix. Anyone on ground who is going to impact the property, the name we give to them, they're the ones who are actually creating the cash flow, creating the value for you with their plan.
Who are all aware of our methods and meet our standard in terms of service delivery. So instead of clients, and I actually had a call with someone, I think about 2 weeks ago now, who went, I'm just so tired of getting into multi-office and competing against your clients. Your clients are so much better prepared. I can't win in multi-offers. And it comes down to those power teams. So the agents, the property managers, the valuers that we have put together across New Zealand and in the different regions that understand our methods, understand what the clients are trying to achieve, that have the process streamlined, and it's, that service that you are going to receive. It's not trying to explain to these different service providers you found on Google what it is you're trying to achieve. If you call an agent up and try and say, I'm trying to find a property to add a bedroom to within the existing floor plan, they're going to go, well, there's enough garden space to add a bedroom with council consent. They won't understand the method, whereas the power teams understand what we're trying to achieve.
The mentality.
Exactly.
For sure. And because, most of the time, with very few exceptions, you're going in to go, here's how the property looks. Ilsa and Tati going, we can add a bedroom here. The power teams have said you can. I'm still looking at the house like those before photos. I can't picture how awesome that can look from this standpoint. Whereas the power team, so the property managers, the builders, the plumbers, the sparkies, they have already completed so many renovations in their respective location that there's really good confidence for our property managers to go, okay, they're working with Ilsa and Tati. We're very confident of the quality and the level of finish. We've rented out many properties that we've appraised before. We're very confident we can hit this dollar. And the other, we control what we can control. There are things we can't. If the rental market changes, that's not something that any of us can control, but that is the reason for why we're in and out as fast as humanly possible, to keep on top of what the forecast is. Someone's just asked, Kaingaora social housing, thoughts on purchasing. So this example was an ex-government, so Kaingaora sale. Our clients will buy all sorts of different properties. We will help you work the method to the type of property, the type of tenant that you want. Definitely have clients who want very specific, some want a higher decile suburb or a certain type of property. We can run the method through any property and help you come up with appropriate but still above average results because of what you'll implement. Whether you want a social tenant or not, very much a personal decision. It's not for our opinion. We will just work with your choices and help you get the best result. And so we definitely have clients who want this type of property for a higher cash flow. Generally, that's associated with a different tenancy or a slightly higher risk, like a real investor product. But we definitely have clients who will say, I don't necessarily need to hit the gross return that you normally aim for because I want a bit more of a balance towards capital growth, but I still want to add the bedroom. So whatever you want, we can do.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Cool. What should I be mindful of as a first-time purchaser in the buying process? What are the strategies I should focus on to build long-term wealth through property? If you
That sounds like the perfect opportunity to jump on a 15-minute call with us.
Yeah, there's definitely, this is like general, should have had a disclaimer. This is not personal advice, but we're definitely happy to talk your situation. And
Absolutely.
we work with you, but we definitely see this as like a three-party situation. It's us plus you plus your advisor. They're the ones with your financial plan in place. We kind of help you plug and play this into your longer term plan,
Yeah.
basically. So definitely book that in, and then we can talk about understand where you're at, what you do, what your goals are, and then how this can fit in with all of that, for sure.
Absolutely.
Um, did the client have to go to non-bank? No, they work for a main bank. This is interesting. I feel as though we've had a few clients have bought this type of property without exception. Every single one who has wanted to opt for something that looks like this has gone with full main bank residential. In fact, we don't have any clients that go non-bank. Non-bank is fantastic. Definitely don't want to talk them down. Even something that looks like that with the right broker and or relationship. If you feel like you've had a crack at one of these and you haven't been able to achieve that, we can definitely make some recommendations to get you extra help or a second opinion. Um, when did this property take place? Oh, okay. So a few weeks ago, we were walking in on week one Reno on the roadie, and
Yeah.
last week they were both fully tenanted or secured with a tenancy agreement. So this is literally now, which I love because we went from like theoretical to locked and loaded before we saw
Yeah, it
you
was
today.
perfect timing. The most up-to-date example.
Um, so cash flow hacking a home and income. So depends on whether you're suggesting that you have a single house you want to convert into two. A conversion which requires council involvement, you need to consult with the district plan, is quite different from with us a cosmetic. So we definitely have had a lot of projects and certain locations are great for this. So for example, Hamilton is a premium over places like Palmerston North, Hawke's Bay, New Plymouth, Wellington, Christchurch, Dunedin, Whangarei, Rotorua. With Hamilton, really great if we can convert a property into two. That's how you pay for one house, but you get rent from two. But in that scenario, you need council involvement. One thing that works really well is to purchase an existing already home and income. Then you have two dwellings that you can cosmetically renovate. Best case scenario, and what we do with our clients is find one where the main house we can cash flow hack, add the room, and then usually the minor dwelling's more of a cosmetic spruce up. That helps us get to the kind of cash flow that our clients want. Cool. Feeling a bit stuck with our high-end house spec, looking to shift into other areas and asset types. Any advice to get started and help us with that shift? Any
Another
thought?
one for a call.
Yeah.
Find out more specifics. Yeah, I think it's more case by case basis. So find out exactly what you're stuck on there with the high spec and yeah, how to move from there. The 15-minute calls, it's no obligation. It's really, they'll be booked in with me, happy to talk through your personal situation and how to navigate that. And the advice starts, it's not just a call about how to join us, it's your current situation and how to move from your current situation into a position where you could look at reinvesting or getting started with investing and how to get into that, whether that's today, 3 months, 6 months from now. It's a plan and a conversation around how to get there
Yeah.
as well.
And it's not
Yeah.
as though we hold all the answers as well. If it's more, look, here's my goal, there could be two steps, there could be four steps. And so we
Yeah.
can make recommendations to professionals who have helped our clients already look at a scenario similar. So because we speak to so many investors, it's possibly a scenario that we can liken to where we've seen progress
Yeah.
when we've referred to someone in the past. And if you're looking at high-end spec houses, just not quite sure if that's your own home or an investment property, not to say that high spec is not great at all. It comes down to not so much the physical property, but what's the goal you have. And every time we meet with an investor, it's not, oh, you need to buy a standalone or you need to buy a multi-unit. You actually have to pare it all the way back to what's the outcome and what's the framework what's the benefit of the next project that actually works to what you want. So are you looking to create equity fast because you don't have or perceive that you have too many years left before you want to retire? Is it that you want high cash flow because rather than work 40 hours, you'd rather have 20? We can help you see what's possible with us based on the objective, and the rest of it comes through that. On interest only, I feel like we've just got the financial advisors. This is
Might
a
be the
great
perfect
segue. How do you feel about interest only? This feels like in a moment where we could have a 15-minute call, and definitely recommend you have a chat with the said broker.
Yep.
So interest only, in a phase of accumulating and growing, typically interest only is viewed as a strategy that alleviates or helps you maintain a good cash flow that's comfortable to live off of while you're still investing in accumulating assets. So most commonly, I'm struggling to even think of a single client who's on principal and interest. Some do, and we have clients who are extremely successful who have religiously paid down on amortized, ex-banking speak, principal, and bought whenever they could. But I would say almost every investor we work with is on interest only.
Correct. Yes.
Ultimately, you need a way to repay that debt. So that might be that you stop acquiring at some point, and then your active income is going to pay it down. Or one of my favorites is actually to buy, was in the past, a standalone house I knew I could subdivide, let that natural growth get to the point where that land would repay. I could sell that section and repay the original debt. But because I've subdivided, I retain that rental. And so then I have the cash flow, but the land actually paid it off. So there's so many ways. That's definitely more of a financial advice, and we can help you get to the right advisor for that.
Absolutely.
Alrighty. Okay. Reclads. We do not, so we're control freaks. We're looking for like in and out really fast. We want control. We don't want other people to make the shots. If there's a consent required, so we will definitely do the right thing. Our property manager might say, in this suburb, and frankly, Park in New Plymouth, if you go to a 4-bedroom, you need a second toilet, if not a second bathroom. Cool. We'll run the numbers. We'll know that within our critical timeline, which is probably 6 weeks there, we'll get the council to pay. It's about $1,500 fee to add a second toilet. We'll look at physically with our plumber where that will go. We'll tap into the other toilet, and we know that fits within our plan. If for some reason there was a bit of a delay, we'd get a tenant in on the proviso that there will be 2 toilets, and we'd give them a discount until that actually came through. So there are ways to manage consent, and we just want to help you be in control. So there are lots of ways to go about things, but when it comes to a plaster or a reclad, that's probably a no-go because that's a massive unknown. Yep. And also then you're like, which council is it? And some are better than others.
Absolutely. So, yeah. You want to avoid those high costs from the get-go as well, or things that are going to affect your value long-term, reclads, flood zones, massive unconsented work, things like that. They're still red flags.
Yeah, for sure. So lots of questions that look quite personal. Please book in with us. Definitely, we will send out an email tomorrow. You can book in through that. Someone's asked, how do I prepare? Great question. Maybe we'll put a couple of pointers, but honestly, it's more for us to understand you.
Yes.
And then how we can help and next steps from there. So don't feel as though you have to perfectly prepare. Last question I see someone asked about thoughts on Marfell. Literally was born and grew up there.
Perfect question, Ed.
Love it. Book in, we'll have a deeper chat. It's probably more emotional than anything. But hey, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So pleased you got to meet Tadey. She brings a whole new wealth of skills to our for our clients to win and copy, paste, improve from all the learnings our clients make on this project and many others. And book in to have a chat with Tadey and with us, and let's see how we can push you forward, whether it's from an equity point of view or cash flow.
Cash flow. Yeah, our favorite. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks so much. Good night.
Night, guys.